Hi, welcome to another episode of MYD Global. I'm your host, Leanne Hackman-Carty. Today we're going to talk to Lauren Kyle, who's the Foundation Manager for Unite BVI. So BVI is the British Virgin Islands, and in September 2017, they got hit with Hurricane Irma. And the islands in the British Virgin Islands were very severely impacted. Unite BVI is actually an initiative of Sir Richard Branson and the Virgin Unite Group. And I'm going to talk to Lauren today about some of the initiatives that they've taken since that time, including the human toll that has taken place since. So stay tuned as I talk to Lauren Kyle. Hey, Lauren, nice to see you again.
Hi, Leanne. Pleasure to be here.
So, can you tell those who are watching just a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. I'm the Partnerships Manager with Unite BVI, which is a registered nonprofit here in the British Virgin Islands. I'm from the BVI. I am a social worker by training and background, and I was here for Irma and Maria.
Yeah. So when Irma hit, that was, what was that, almost 2 years ago, or was it over 2 years ago now? Where were you as far as at that time?
Yeah, I was on Tortola, which is the main island in the British Virgin Islands, on the eastern end of the island, an area called Hodges Creek.
Okay. And do you remember, what was that area impacted severely?
Absolutely. I mean, the whole country was severely devastated. On our hillside, there's about 14 homes, 10 of which were completely structurally damaged, where the whole roof was gone or the entire building was just rubble. So we were very fortunate that we lost our deck and some of our roofing, but the majority of the roof stayed on.
Wow. Well, and I know you and I met, it was last December when I had a chance to come and visit Virgin Gorda and see some of the work you guys were doing. And at the time, you took us to the Brigado Flax Education Center. And at the time, the kids were only coming partial days because of the restoration had not fully taken place. I'm just curious where that's at now.
Yeah, well, we're really pleased. We actually have completed the build. We had made a commitment to rebuilding 12 classrooms and the bathroom block. And we've been able to hand that building over to the Ministry of Education. It's complete. It is built very resiliently. That thing could be a hurricane shelter in the next storm. And so we're really pleased that that's meant that there's enough classroom space that students can return to a full day of school, which they had only been, as you just discussed, in school for half of the day since the storm. So we're really pleased that that project has come to completion, and in September the kids were back in school.
That's awesome. I know that, when we were there, we got a chance to meet with some of the kids, and I just thought these kids are fantastic. I mean, given all they had been through, yet their positive attitudes and their desire to build back better and be more resilient, I mean, that was pretty obvious to me. I'm just curious, given your background, as far as how are people, like from the human toll side of it, how are people doing, right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's interesting, having gone through the storm, there was an immediate you're running on adrenaline and fumes. You're in survival mode, and what can I do to make sure my family's okay, my immediate friends are okay, my immediate neighbors are okay, and then slowly you can start looking across your community and, trying to help more and more. But you are, for the first couple months, everyone was in shock, but pushing through the shock, because you don't have time you can't just stop. You've got to keep going. And so I think everyone was deeply exhausted, emotionally, physically, but you can't actually stop and acknowledge that exhaustion. And so it was interesting. It was about 9 months into, the aftermath of Hurricane Irma, where, finally there was some of the critical infrastructure was back in place, and electricity and water for the most part, after, the first 9 months was back. But that's actually when I saw, from my social work training, when you really see people emotionally just are at wit's end, that's when it really kicked in, because the adrenaline was, finally wearing off. Everyone was exhausted. And I think that the community realized the road to recovery is is actually really long. And this is a marathon, not a sprint. And everyone had been sprinting really hard for a long time. And there was not an opportunity to really stop and, refuel batteries and, take that retreat that everyone needed. The reality was we were still in such a devastating state as a country that you still had to operate as though the hurricane had happened just, last week. So I think emotionally there has been more of a chronic exhaustion that has impacted the community. And 2 years on, there has largely life has gone back to a state of normalcy. But I think that, most people aren't really acknowledging how deeply exhausted they are, and that they've never really had that chance to heal and to decompress from the trauma of what they've been through. They've just had to keep moving. And so I think some of the things that have been really helpful is, we've done a couple art uplifting projects where you just, go into a community that was hit really hard and engage the community and local artists to beautify an area. And those types of projects, because the art symbolizes hope and, finding restoration amidst chaos, that has given some healing.
Yeah, I know, like when we go into communities and train them on resilience recovery, that's a big issue. It's the mental health piece, because you've got people, and right away there's almost like a honeymoon period where you think, okay, we're going to rebuild, we're going to be better than ever, we're good, everybody's coming in to help, and then it's kind of that reality hits in and you go, wow, this is going to be tougher than I thought. And I know even there's a community here in Canada, and they said that after a significant flood, I think it was 3 years later, 75% of their staff had turned over. And that's for a municipal staff. And so you just think those people were on the front lines for 3 years, not only helping rebuild their neighbors' lives, but rebuilding their lives. And it's tough. And so, kudos to pay attention to that mental health side of it and helping give people peace and, hope, because that's a big part of a recovery piece. So what about as far as Unite BVI? I mean, I know you guys do a lot of different things. So can you just speak to what the organization does?
Sure. Yeah. Unite BVI, as was referenced at the beginning, we're a registered nonprofit here. So we're really the charitable vehicle with which the Branson family and Necker and Mosquito Island and Virgin Unite can have a local, hands and feet in the community to do philanthropic work. And we work across 3 main areas. Environmental conservation is one of our core pillars. Community enrichment, which obviously is a very broad umbrella, but we focus a lot on education, and we do also some public health initiatives and other community restoration projects. And then our 3rd pillar is empowering entrepreneurs to use their businesses as forces for good. And so overarchingly, our mission is really to bridge resources with some of the most critical need facing communities and the environment in ways that are going to have lasting impact on those communities and on the environment. Yeah, and our ultimate vision is we want to inspire and empower local communities to really feel like they could be the solution to some of these challenges. And you don't have to wait for international help, but really that, we have brilliant, talent right here in the BVI. And for people just to feel empowered that they can be part of the solution to those challenges is really important to the organization.
Yeah, because in the long term, I mean, you could have temporary help come and support you, but at the end of the day, they leave and you're still there. And so making sure that you've got the things in place to help build and rebuild and especially fostering entrepreneurship is a huge thing, I think, for communities. So I think that's fantastic what you're doing. As far as if you wanted to give one key message, to anybody watching this, is there something you would particularly want to highlight?
Yes, thank you for asking. I think that Irma was obviously devastating. I like to look at it as a real opportunity to say, what can we be doing now to prevent horrific incidents like this happening? And I know it feels overwhelming, but I think that the most important message and opportunity for anyone that's been through a devastating natural disaster is for us to take just a moment to step back and say, what are the causes or the leading reasons why we are seeing such extreme weather like Category 5 hurricanes? And bridging that narrative to climate change and global warming, hurricanes are becoming stronger and larger and more frequent because the ocean temperatures are rising, which is because of climate change. And so to encourage people to really take ownership of their own behavioral choices in regards to stewardship of the planet's resources and how we take care of this precious earth that we have in such a way that we mitigate climate change and global warming. Because we need to each play our part, and as humanity come together and come up with some really innovative solutions to addressing the large scale challenges. But on a very personal level, what are the individual choices that I can be making that are going to be mitigating some of the harm that we're doing to the planet?
And that's key, because I think, you know, we can always point our fingers at everybody else, but if we as individuals take those measures in advance to become more resilient and prepared, and businesses do the same, and then communities do the same, I mean, I'm personally convinced we wouldn't see the impacts we're seeing, because we're all trying to mitigate our risk. We have plans in place. So, you know, thank you for all the work you do every day. And I know you live in a beautiful place, beautiful part of the world. And how has tourism been? Has it come back to where it was before?
Yeah, marine tourism has made a really good comeback. BVI is one of the sailing capitals of the world. And, you know, the moorings and some of the other charter companies worked really hard to get their, you know, fleet back and operational so that people could come and support the economy by, you know, chartering a boat and buying lunch from the outer island restaurants. And, you know, so I think that the marine sector is beginning to come back. We still, I mean, there are many large hotels that haven't reopened, that are in process of being renovated and restored, but they're only now just coming online. And so, I mean, Category 5 means near catastrophic devastation by definition. And so it's 2 years on, we've made lots of progress, but we are still in recovery. And I think that's an important message to say to anyone that's not here every day. See, we drive by buildings that still don't have roofs on them every day. And we've gotten very used to it because we are doing our best to return to normalcy. But the BVI is definitely still in recovery. And we need to work hard together to really support the BVI to completely come back to where we had been, and hopefully even better. You know, I think that's part of what we're doing. That one of the schools we've rebuilt, the Borgata Flex School, we're putting solar on the roof now so that it will be completely powered 100% by renewables. And that's, you know, building back stronger, better, greener, and more resilient.
Yeah, no, that's great. So if people want to, I mean, I'll put the link to your website on the video description. On your website, does it show if people are interested in helping? Do you have a list of things you need? You know, just curious help.
Yeah, so there's a contact us section of the website. So anyone that's interested in, you know, beginning a customized dialogue with myself or anyone else on the team, we are, you know, delighted to have that, and that's the best way to probably start the conversation. And we're in the process of updating the website for all that we've done over the last 2 years. We were so busy doing the work, we've not been terribly good at keeping the website as up to date. So you will get a taste for the organization, but in the next month or so, you will be able to communicate via the website all the projects we've done. So we've done everything from putting playgrounds at the local orphanage, to restoring community parks, to microloan programs, to helping housing for the most vulnerable, rebuilding classrooms. So we've done a breadth of work that unfortunately we haven't got the website to reflect yet, but it will in the next few weeks.
That's great. That's great. So we will put that on there, and hopefully one day I'll come see you again, and hopefully see you back better than ever. So thank you so much for taking the time I know you're very busy and lots going on there. So thanks for taking a few minutes to just let people know about what you do and how things are coming in the British Virgin Islands. So thanks, Lauren. Best of luck.
Thanks, Leanne. It was a pleasure to be here.